In 1893, while Gandhi was living in South Africa, he wrote in a letter to the natal parliament that the Indians are undoubtedly infinitely superior to the Kaffirs. In another letter from 1904, he described black people as savage, raw, and uncivilized, and claimed that the white race in South Africa should be the predominating race. In a letter to a health officer in Johannesburg, he said that the council must withdraw Kaffirs from an unsanitary slum called the Coolie location, where a large number of Africans lived alongside Indians. About the mixing of the Kaffirs with the Indians, I must confess I feel most strongly. The same year he wrote that unlike the African, the Indian had no war dances, nor does he drink Kaffir beer. When Durban was hit by a plague in 1905, Gandhi wrote that the problem would persist as long as Indians and Africans were being herded together indiscriminately at the hospital. But Gandhi's racism wasn't just limited to words. In fact, he actively fought against the rights of black people in South Africa. In 1906, he supported a law that required all Indians to be fingerprinted, photographed, and carry a registration certificate with them at all times, a law that did not apply to white people. He even went so far as to organize Indian volunteers to help the British Army fight against a Zulu rebellion in 1906. Gandhi's actions towards black people were not just limited to words and speeches. He also actively worked against the interests of black people in South Africa. In 1906, he led a campaign against a proposed law that would have granted voting rights to black people in South Africa. Gandhi argued that black people were not civilized enough to participate in the political process, and that giving them the right to vote would lead to the degradation and lowering of the Indian race. And it wasn't just in South Africa where Gandhi displayed his racism. In his own homeland of India, he fought for the preservation of the caste system, which placed Dalits, formerly known as untouchables, at the bottom of society and subjected them to horrific discrimination and violence. Gandhi believed that the caste system was a divine law and opposed efforts to abolish it. Gandhi's views on race and caste have been criticized by many, including civil rights leader Malcolm X. In fact, when asked about Gandhi's philosophy, Malcolm X famously said, "I admire the Mahatma very much, his philosophy, his discipline, but I have to reject his philosophy of nonviolence, because I don't believe in letting anyone who attacks me just walk away from the consequences of their actions." Now,